Greetings, everybody. Carl Diffenderfer here. I hope you're doing well. I want to just take a moment to chat with you today. Just an overview of all of the things that I've already covered today. We're about lunchtime here in Pennsylvania and had just so many things I've already covered today. And I want to review them with you to give you some ideas of maybe how you handle some of the challenges and problems you face in your business. And also the fact that you're not alone. There's a lot of other business owners covering so many different things. So I have some notes open here. And I want to just review some of these things with you. Now, my first call today was with a business owner that's been in business for a long time, many, many years. And one of the things that he's really running into in his business is that he lacks passion to continue to push his business forward. And we talked about the fact that in the beginning, he had a ton of passion. He was so excited. He was driving forward. He was really driven. And now, not so much. He's had problems with some employees. He's had problems finding customers and many things like that. And he just kind of came to the spot where he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he's been trying to sell, and that's okay. You certainly can do that. But I told him that selling it doesn't fix that problem. You're going to run into that again. And so we began to talk about, okay, well, what does it look like to restore passion in your business? How do we get past that burnout? And so some of the ideas that I gave him of things that I've seen over the years with other business owners is sometimes it's a misalignment of their focus. Sometimes they think that their business needs to be doing this, but they forget the kingdom aspect of their business. And so they're not using their business for God's glory. And so they get stuck, they struggle. And so that's the one thing, but maybe it's, I'm trying to think here through all the things that we said. We talked about the things that he likes to do and the things he doesn't like to do. Is he doing too much of that? We talked about what's your calling in your business and in your life. Are you aligned with your calling? Are you content with where you're at? If you're not, then that could be part of the reason why you don't have passion in your business anymore. And we talked about a myriad of other things, but that gives you a brief synopsis of this business owner. He was stuck. And so now we're going to start working on his purpose and his passion in his business. Ultimately, don't forget that creates hope. If you don't have hope, you're going to have struggles. And so that was kind of that conversation. But we also, in that coaching call, we talked about the fact that there's a difference between hunting and farming. And a lot of people do farming behaviors and expect hunting results. Okay, well, what does that mean? I know that's kind of weird, right? But hunting is where you're specifically going after a target audience of people that you know is going to be your people that buy from you. And it sometimes, though, we do planting of seeds. We're doing mass marketing. We're planting seeds in the field, and then we're waiting for the sunshine and we're waiting for the rain and waiting for God to make those seeds grow. And we don't know what the crop's going to yield. And so we can't do the planting of the seeds and expect hunting results. And that's exactly what he's doing. And he's like, that's right. I used to go out to the job site and talk to this key audience. In this case, it was builders. I'm going to go out to the job site and start talking to the builders again because that's what I used to do. Now he's going to begin to be proactive in generating business for himself so that he fills his pipeline, keeps his pipeline full, and keeps all of his staff busy and keeps his projects going inside of his business. So those are two things that we talked about with that client. And then I think there was one other thing. We talked a little bit. He's saying, do I want to become a coach? I don't know, but let's think about it. He's been in business. I think it was about 20 years that he's been in business, maybe more. And he's like, I would love to teach other people to do how to do what I've done. And so now we're beginning to talk about, okay, what would it look like for him to become a coach, to be certified through our program, all those types of things. So there's a little snapshot of that one client. Now the next client is a potential client, and he is in Africa, the western part of Africa. He's a farmer. And he said he realized that he needs to have more business knowledge in order to be able to grow his business. But then from that, from his farm, from that, he wants to teach other farmers how to do that. He's a man of faith. He follows God, and he's very involved in his church. And he's just like, I want to make a difference with the people here. And so we talked about many different things about how he's going to do that. But ultimately, it came down to he needs to build the structure of his organization to support the growth that he wants to do. And then as he understands the structure, he'll be able to, the structure concepts, he'll be able to then apply that to the other farmers that he wants to help them grow their business with. And well, what's structure? Well, systems and processes, people, aligning the people to the processes. It's your org chart, it's your job descriptions, it's your mission, vision, values, it's your HR, your IT, the software you use. All that stuff is the structure of the business that holds it all together, right? And so that's one of the things we talked about. It was really cool to have the conversation with him, and then talk about, okay, how can I help him? Because obviously I'm in the top 4% of coaches in the world. So is it me? Well, probably not. But could one of my other coaches help him? For sure. How about all of the curriculum that we have, that we've written, the hundreds of videos that we have, and trainings and modules and courses, all that stuff? I'm going to actually probably just don't tell anybody. Well, I'm telling everybody right now, aren't I? I'm probably going to just give them access to it, because his country, their financial ability is not near what ours is. But I'm going to help him and help him grow his organization in Western Africa, and we'll go from there. Okay, so that's number 2. Now, number 3 was rather interesting too. Number 3 was with a client of mine that's actually considering buying out a local non-competitor, meaning that it's somebody that's right outside of his region. He's thinking about growing his business by buying them. So we were looking at P&Ls over the last 3 years, and this business that we're looking at grew from 2020, I think they're at 0. And this last year, they did almost $2 million. And we're like, okay, how'd they do that? I'm not going to say what kind of business it is, because I'm just protecting client confidentiality. But we looked at all of their assets. We looked at all of their loans, and we looked at the revenue coming in, what kind of expenses they had, what kind of cost of goods sold they had, overhead. We looked at all those things. And at the end, we were scratching our head saying, these numbers don't make sense. Why would I want to buy into this? We also looked at depreciation. Those numbers didn't make sense either. So our takeaway from that was, all right, let's begin to get a CPA involved, maybe a business broker, and some other experts. And let's start to dig into these numbers to make sure it's worthwhile. Now, the one thing he didn't think about that I shared with him that's so important is this. If you're thinking about buying into another company, that means you're going to become a partner. Well, what are the expectations of that partnership? How's it going to work? Who does what? Some great questions. But even further, do you want to be in a partnership with that person long term? Do they have the characteristics of somebody that you're going to want to do long-term business with, their integrity, their character, but then also, are you going to even like the person? Nobody wants to be in a partnership with somebody they don't like. And so from that, you should be able to, as you think about, okay, do I want to do a partnership? A lot of business owners come to me and say, I want to do a partnership. Okay, great. Why? And as we dig into it, it's because they don't want to be alone, or they want to walk with somebody in their journey, whatever it is. And so that then creates greater problems, because oftentimes there's misalignment with those partnerships. If you know somebody struggling in a partnership right now, I am amazing. I do really, really well. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I do a really good job of fixing relationship partners and partnerships. And you can even ask some of my clients. I've helped them through many, many tough seasons. And also remember, in partnerships, you have kind of like this honeymoon season, and then you get to see the real person. And you're like, oh, okay, I shouldn't have done this partnership. And so be really, really careful with partnerships. Now, some of the other things we talked about today, which were very, very interesting. We talked about his cash flow. This client had an amazing year last year, and this year hasn't been the greatest. And so we were looking at the 5 ways that he can focus on fixing his cash flow. Number 1, increasing his revenue. Number 2, decreasing expenses. Some of the expenses to look at would be overtime, things you don't use, software you don't use, anything you're spending money on that you shouldn't be spending money on, or that you maybe just need to give up. The next thing we looked at was increasing efficiency, but we talked about increasing efficiency and said, hey, if you focus too much on increasing efficiency, that's a long game. You're going to see money come from that down the road, not immediately. So be careful with how much time you put on that. We looked at his receivables. He had over $150,000 that was owed to him. And so we talked about his strategy to get that money owed to him, because by the way, that anybody that owes you money and you've already done the work, that's pretty much free cash. You're being the bank for that person. So we talked about what are the strategies for him to actually get the money from these people, and really the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And so we talked about just calling them and being in front of them. You don't have to be angry with them, but just call them and say, hey, what about this money? And then we also talked about selling assets. Sometimes a business has assets that are sitting there that they don't use very much. And so the profitability assessment of that asset is very low. And they'd be better off to maybe rent it or find somebody else that'll rent it to them when they need it. And so we talked through all the assets that this client has, and ultimately, how is he going to fix his cash flow? And so here we are, working with real issues that business owners face every day. And, it's okay. I'm sharing it today to say we all deal with this stuff. Why do we do it alone? Why do we try to figure it out on our own when somebody else over here probably has figured it out already, and they can say, oh, did you do this? And that's one of the things that we as coaches do. A lot of business owners really struggle with this. I tell people, bring your problems to me and I'll help you work on them and figure them out, or I'll introduce you to the person that will help you with that. And what do? Well, I don't know if I can do that. They're afraid to share their problems. So what do? Well, I use the word challenges now instead. But really, let's be real for a second. There's no difference. Their problems or challenges or dangers, risks, threats, whatever. You call it whatever you want. And so if you have something that you're wrestling through, I don't care if it's about people or time or money or you name it, anything. If you're facing it, don't do it alone. And so with that, we're getting ready to launch our Kingdom Warriors group. I've been working on building this model for over a year, journaling, building out what it's going to be, how it's going to work. And March 1st, we get started. If you know somebody that wants to seriously be held accountable to high performance in not only their business, but also their life, somebody that wants to learn and grow and be challenged and also talk to their peers in a coaching environment with other coaches, maybe it might be for them. Reach out to me. I'm happy to share more with you about it. It's going to be a private group. Okay. So I'm not just like, hey, everybody come to this. I really want people that are serious about making a change in their life, in their business, and not just making more money. If you want to make more money and that's all you want to do, that's not for you. But if you really want to make a difference in the world through your family, your business, your life, your calling, what you're called to do, then by all means, come out and join us. Reach out to me. I'll send you the details of it, and love to have you join us for that if you're interested. Our launch is March 1st. Hopefully you can join us. That's all I have for today. I hope this was valuable. By the way, if you have a question, you have a problem, you have a risk, whatever it is, and you're like, what do I do with this? Reach out, because I guarantee you I've heard it. And I might not have the answer, but I know who does have the answer. And so at least we can help you solve some of these continual things that you face in your business week after week. Thanks for checking in, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend. Make sure you spend some time with your family, spend some time with the Lord, and really connect with the people around you. Disconnect from work and live your life to the fullest. Many blessings. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.